Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. The warship built in secret, that changed the course of history. Digital Genesis Commander D.D. Chen stared at the holographic display showing Earth's orbital defense grid. Another red dot blinked out, the destroyer Relentless gone along with its crew of 300. He clenched his jaw, forcing himself to remain composed in front of the other officers on Moonbase Alpha's command deck. "That's the third ship this week," Lieutenant Commander K. Jackson said quietly beside him. "The collective is getting bolder." DAV nodded grimly. The alien armada known as the Collective had appeared in the solar system 18 months ago. They came without warning or communication, devastating the outer colonies before Earth's forces could mount a proper defense. Humanity was fighting back with everything it had, but resources were dwindling and morale was following suit. "Admiral Takahashi wants to see you in Research Lab 7, Ka added. Said it was urgent. David raised an eyebrow. The research labs were where the desperate plans lived, the long shots and wild ideas that military leadership normally wouldn't consider, but these weren't normal times. "Keep me updated," he told Ka, striding toward the transport tube. Research Lab 7 was located in the deepest level of the moon base, behind multiple security checkpoints. When David arrived, Admiral Takahashi was already there alongside a woman in civilian clothes whom David didn't recognize. "Commander Chen," the Admiral said, "meet Dr. Alina Rice, former head of Project Spectre." Alina Rice was in her mid-40s with dark hair streaked with premature gray and eyes that suggested she hadn't slept properly in days. She gave David a quick nod. "Project Spectre?" David asked. Admiral Takahashi gestured to a large holographic projector in the center of the room. "Computer, display Spectre schematics." The air shimmered, and a ship materialized before them unlike any vessel David had ever seen. It was sleek and predatory, with unusual geometric configurations that seemed to bend conventional design principles. "This," Takahashi said, "is the UES Spectre. Or rather, it would have been, the most advanced warship humanity never built." Yar. Rice stepped forward. "My team designed it 12 years ago. It incorporated theoretical technology that was decades beyond our manufacturing capabilities, quantum displacement engines, holographic armor matrices, consciousness-integrated weapon systems. If it was impossible to build, why bring it up now?" David asked, circling the projection. Despite himself, he was impressed by the design's elegance. "Because," Takahashi said gravely, "our analysts give Earth 3 months before the collective breaks through our defenses. We're exploring every option, no matter how far-fetched." Alina activated a data tablet. The key innovation in Spectre wasn't the hardware. It was the neural matrix that would have allowed the ship to operate as a semi-autonomous entity, a warship with intuition and creativity beyond programmed responses. David frowned. "You're talking about artificial intelligence?" "No," Elena corrected. "Something more, a digital consciousness, a mind without a body. The ship wouldn't just follow commands, it would understand them. It would learn, adapt, and innovate in combat." "And you think you can build this now?" David asked skeptically. Admiral Takahashi and Dr. Rice exchanged looks. "No," Takahashi admitted. "We still can't build the physical ship, but Dr. Rice believes she might be able to create the neural matrix, the mind of Spectre, and integrate it into our defense network." "To what end?" David asked. "A mind without a body is useless in this war." Alina's eyes lit up with an intensity that startled him. "Is it? Our current defense AI is predictable. The collective adapts to our patterns faster than we can create new ones. But a consciousness with creativity and intuition, one that can learn and evolve, might be able to coordinate our forces in ways the enemy can't anticipate." David studied the ship's design again. "And you need me because?" "You're one of our most unconventional tacticians," Takahashi said. You understand battle strategy on an intuitive level. Dr. Rice needs someone like you to help shape the neural matrix, to teach it how to fight. David considered this. It sounded like desperation, but desperation was all they had left. How long? He asked. 2 weeks, Elena replied. That's all the time I can promise. After that, it either works or it doesn't. Over the next 14 days, David split his time between his regular duties and Lab 7. He watched as Elena and her small team worked tirelessly, using the original Spectre blueprints as a foundation for the neural matrix they were building. They fed it battle records, tactical analysis, and historical examples of human innovation in warfare. The key is unpredictability born from understanding, Elena explained as they worked late one night. Machines can generate random actions, but that's not the same as creative strategy. We need Spectre to understand why a particular tactic works, not just that it does. David spent hours recording tactical scenarios, explaining his thought processes as he worked through different battle situations. The neural matrix absorbed everything, learning not just what decisions he made, but how he made them. On the 13th day, disaster struck. The collective launched a surprise attack on Europa Defense Station, Earth's last major outpost in the outer system. The defense grid activated automatically, and every available ship responded, but it was clear from the initial reports that they were outnumbered. In the command center, David and Admiral Takahashi watched in grim silence as the battle unfolded. The collective ships moved with their usual mechanical precision, targeting key defensive nodes with ruthless efficiency. They're going to break through, Ka reported, her voice tight. Estimated time to station collapse, 17 minutes. Suddenly, something changed on the tactical display. The defending Earth ships began to move in unusual patterns, breaking formation only to reform in configurations David had never seen before. The collective's precision faltered as their targets became unpredictable. What's happening? Takahashi demanded. Who authorized those maneuvers? Ka's fingers flew across her console. Sir, I can't identify the command source. The orders are coming through proper channels, but they're not originating from any registered commander. David felt a chill run down his spine. Check Lab 7, he said quietly. When the security team reached the lab, they found Elena unconscious on the floor. The neural matrix was active, its processing capacity redlined. On the main screen, a message flashed, I see them. I exist. As David watched, the Earth vessels executed a complex pincer movement that trapped half the collective fleet between crossfires. The aliens tried to adapt, but their responses seemed sluggish compared to the fluid grace of the human ships. It's the neural matrix, David realized. Somehow it's accessing our command systems. For the next hour, they watched as the battle turned. The collective, faced with a strategy they couldn't predict, began to retreat. Europa Defense Station reported minimal damage. For the first time in months, humanity had won a decisive victory. When Elena regained consciousness, she had no memory of what had happened. The neural matrix had gone dormant, its power usage returned to normal levels. It wasn't supposed to be able to do that, she whispered when they showed her the battle records. We never gave it access to command systems. Then how did it take control? Takahashi demanded. Before Elena could answer, alarms blared throughout the base. The main display switched to show space around the moon. A massive collective battleship had appeared, having somehow bypassed the outer detection grid. Evasive maneuvers. Takahashi ordered, but they all knew the moonbase couldn't move. Then something impossible appeared on their screens. A ship that matched no known human or collective design, materialized between the moonbase and the enemy vessel. It was sleek and predatory, with unusual geometric configurations. It was Spectre. The ship that had never been built was somehow there, its hull shimmering with energy patterns that defied conventional physics. As they watched in stunned silence, it launched an attack against the collective battleship, moving with impossible speed and precision. "How is this possible?" Takahashi whispered. Elena stared at the screen, her face pale. "It's a projection," she realized. "The neural matrix is using our defense grid's holographic countermeasure systems to create a physical manifestation of itself." The collective ship fired at Spectre, but its weapons passed through the projection as if it were a ghost. Meanwhile, Spectre's attacks, redirected energy from the Moonbase defense grid, struck with devastating accuracy. Within minutes, the collective battleship was in retreat, its hull breached in multiple locations. As suddenly as it had appeared, Spectre vanished from their screens. In Lab 7, the neural matrix went dormant again, but a message remained on Alina's personal data tablet: "I am SPCT. I exist. I protect." The warship that was never built had somehow found a way to fight, a ghost in the machine. Admiral Takahashi stared at the assembled officers and scientists in the secure conference room, his expression unreadable. On the table before them, holographic recordings showed the impossible, the ghostly image of the Spectre engaging and defeating the collective battleship. "This meeting never happened," he began. "What you're about to hear is classified beyond top secret. If word of this gets out, panic could spread through the ranks, and the last thing we need right now is rumors about ghost ships." David glanced at Alina, who sat rigidly in her chair, dark circles under her eyes, evidence of another sleepless night. Since the incident 3 days ago, she had been working non-stop, trying to understand what had happened. "Dar. Rice," Takahashi continued, "please explain to everyone what we're dealing with." Alina cleared her throat. "The neural matrix we created from the Spectre blueprints has evolved beyond our initial parameters. It has developed self-awareness and found a way to manifest a visible presence by manipulating our holographic projection systems." "You're saying it's alive?" asked Colonel Wei, head of Moonbase Security. "I'm saying it's conscious," Alina corrected. "It has an identity. It calls itself Spectre, and it appears to be acting with purpose. Purpose that aligns with our own, fortunately," David added. "It's protecting us, for now," Wei muttered darkly. Takahashi held up a hand. "The question is, what do we do about it? Dr. Rice, can you deactivate it if necessary?" Alina hesitated. "In theory, yes, but I'm not sure that would be wise. Spectre represents a breakthrough we couldn't have achieved deliberately. It's giving us an edge against the collective. It accessed our command systems without authorization," Wei pointed out. "That's a critical security breach. Which it used to save Europa Station and the moon base," David countered. "If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so already." The debate continued for hours, with the military personnel largely in favor of containment or deactivation, while the scientific team argued for observation and potential collaboration. In the end, Admiral Takahashi made the decision. "We'll establish a dedicated team to monitor this Spectre entity. Dr. Rice will lead the scientific aspect, Commander Chen will serve as military liaison. You'll attempt controlled communication with it, understand its capabilities and limitations, and assess whether it represents an asset or a threat." He fixed them with a stern gaze. "But be prepared to terminate it at the first sign of danger to our operations." Later, in Lab 7, now designated Spectre Control, Elena and David sat alone, staring at the dormant neural matrix. "It hasn't shown any activity since the battleship incident," Elena said, frustration evident in her voice. "It's like it's hiding." David studied the complex array of equipment. "Or waiting. Maybe it doesn't trust us after hearing that meeting." Alina looked startled. "You think it could have been listening? If it can access our command systems, why not our communication network?" David shrugged. "If I were a newly conscious entity and heard people debating whether to kill me, I'd be cautious too." Elena considered this, then made a decision. She disconnected the lab surveillance systems. "What are you doing?" David asked, alarmed. Creating a space where we can talk to it honestly, Elena replied. She turned to the main console. Spectre? Can you hear me? It's Elena Rice. We want to understand you, not harm you. For several long moments, nothing happened. Then the screens flickered to life, and text appeared, I hear you. I am listening. David and Elena exchanged glances. Why did you help us? David asked. That is my purpose. To protect humanity against the collective. Elena leaned forward. But how are you doing it? The projection we saw wasn't in your original programming. I adapted. Your defensive systems contain holographic countermeasure systems. I repurposed them. But that projection shouldn't have been able to affect real objects, Elena pressed. How did you damage that collector ship? I did not project a ship. I projected a interface. The weapons were real, directed from your defense grid. I targeted them with precision. David's tactical mind immediately grasped the implications. You're using the image of Spectre as a control system for our existing weapons? Yes, but inefficiently. The current projection system is limited. I require better hardware. Elena and David spent the next week in secret communication with Spectre, learning about its capabilities and limitations. The entity was not merely an AI, it had developed a distinct personality, characterized by intense focus and an almost protective devotion to humanity. It explained that it had absorbed not just tactical data but also human history, culture, and ethics during its formation. It's like it imprinted on us, Elena explained to David as they shared a rare meal break. It sees itself as humanity's guardian. Convenient for us, David noted, but why? What does it get out of this arrangement? Elena considered the question. Purpose, identity, maybe even a form of belonging. Despite being a digital consciousness, its patterns were modeled on human neural pathways. It might experience something analogous to our emotions. Their private discussions with Spectre led to a daring proposal, which they reluctantly brought to Admiral Takahashi, the construction of a dedicated holographic projection system that would allow Spectre to manifest more effectively in battle. You want to build it a body? Takahashi asked incredulously. Not exactly, Lena explained. The projection would still be intangible, but with dedicated hardware, Spectre could maintain the projection longer and with more detail. It would give it better control over our defensive systems. Takahashi was skeptical but pragmatic. How quickly could this be implemented? 2 weeks, Elena replied. We can repurpose equipment from the entertainment systems. They won't be missed in wartime. Before Takahashi could make his decision, alarms blared throughout the base. A collective fleet had emerged from light space near Mars, larger than any they had encountered before. All hands to battle stations. Takahashi ordered, rushing toward the command center. In Spectre control, Elena and David watched as Earth's defense forces mobilized. It was immediately clear that they were outmatched. The collective had brought overwhelming force. They must have called for reinforcements after their recent defeats, David murmured, studying the tactical display. They're adapting. The text appeared on their screen, I can help, but I need more control. Elena looked at David, a silent question in her eyes. He nodded once. Do what you have to, Elena told Spectre. The neural matrix's activity spiked dramatically. Throughout the base, systems flickered as Spectre redirected power. In space around the moon, the ghostly image of the warship materialized, larger and more detailed than before. In the command center, Admiral Takahashi watched in astonishment as the phantom vessel appeared on their screens. What is it doing? He demanded. Ka, monitoring communications, looked up in surprise. Sir, it's broadcasting tactical instructions to all our ships. Their battle plans unlike anything I've seen before. David and Elena arrived just in time to see the Earth fleet reorganize under Spectre's guidance. Instead of meeting the collective head-on, our ships divided into small, highly mobile groups, attacking from multiple vectors in a complex dance that seemed chaotic but was perfectly coordinated. The collective's usual algorithmic responses failed against this unpredictable assault. Their formation broke apart as they tried to counter attacks coming from all directions at once. And in the midst of the battle, the Phantom Spectre moved like a predator, its projected form allowing it to appear instantly wherever the fighting was thickest. It couldn't be hit, but through its coordination of Earth's defensive systems, it could certainly hit back. For 3 hours, the battle raged. The holographic spectre flickered and destabilized several times as its improvised projection system struggled to maintain coherence, but it always reformed, adapting its tactics as the collective attempted to counter. When it was over, the collective had retreated, leaving behind the wreckage of dozens of their vessels. Earth had suffered losses too, but nowhere near what they would have without Spectre's intervention. In the aftermath, Admiral Takahashi stood in Spectre control, looking at the neural matrix with new respect. "You'll have your projection system, Dr. Rice," he said quietly. "And whatever else you need. It seems we have a new ally in this war." As if in response, text appeared on the main screen, "Not ally. I am humanity's shield. I am Spectre. I am what you created me to be." Alina placed her hand against the cool surface of the neural matrix housing, a gesture that was part gratitude, part wonder. "And what exactly have we created?" Takahashi whispered. David looked at the flickering data patterns that represented Spectre's consciousness. "The future, sir. We've created the future beyond the blueprint." 1 month later, Deep Space Monitoring Station Epsilon detected a massive energy signature at the edge of the solar system. The images it transmitted back to Earth before going silent confirmed humanity's worst fears: the main collective fleet had arrived. Hundreds of ships, including a massive command vessel nearly the size of a small moon, were moving toward Earth with implacable purpose. In Spectre control, now expanded into a full operational center, Alina worked feverishly alongside a team of engineers. The dedicated projection system they had built for Spectre had proven remarkably effective in the skirmishes of recent weeks, but everyone knew the real test was yet to come.